Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is kind of a Hollywood celebrities dropping like M&F and flies. Okay, so there was one of my viewers sent me this. Few of people did actually. There's now a conspiracy theory about Taylor Swift's real motivation for being in a relationship with Travis Kelce, and it's because this scandal where she was a climate change activist, and also she seems to be dabbling into being a political shill, obviously for the Democrats. And the problem with this was she uses more CO2 emissions with her private jet, right? This is her private jet here. And if you search Taylor Swift jet emissions, you're going to get all these articles and things talking about how she's a hypocrite because she has this jet here. She has a private plane. And she used it like more than any other celebrity. She's constantly using it. And so, celebrities use private jets excessively and then claim to be climate change, whatever it is. And so she switched that up by having it when you search Taylor Swift jet, all it shows when she was at the Jets game. And it was done really well if you think about it, because she came out with being in a relationship with him. The first game she attended was the blowout against the Chicago Bears. And then it took a week to incubate to where it really grew into something. And then she went to the Jets game, which was in New York City, and then it was whatever it was, like a Sunday night or Monday night game, Sunday night game. And so there was so much attention. It was prime time, and it was huge, a huge event. And football wanted to cash in on all these non-football fans that were Taylor Swift fans who were going to watch the game, and they just overdid it, right? And it became a media circus, but it erased this now search term, because every time you search something for, like if you said Taylor Swift and the Jets, it's going to come up with this thing I hear, all these things. We Taylor-gated Taylor Swift fans descend on Jets game. But then people kind of figured it out. And Taylor Swift's conspiracy theory goes viral after appearance at the Jets. Did Taylor Swift attend a New York Jets game to detract from her private jet? And so this is being covered all over the place. So it kind of backfired to where now if you search Taylor Swift Jets, it makes it look like she is trying to game the search engines. It makes it look much worse than before because now she's trying to cover up something, right? The cover up is always worse than the crime. So now not only is she a hypocrite, someone who claims to be against climate change who uses her private jet, but she tried to game the search engine and used her love life to do it. Like now she even looks twice as scummy, which is great. And I think, there's no way that her publicity team didn't know this was going to happen. Like they must have known that she had this big negative. As one of her big negatives is this stuff to do with her private jet. And conveniently, these are publicity teams that just know how to game the system. She goes to a Jets game, but then all of a sudden, people figure that out. And so it's backfired massively. And there's, like I said, there's no way they didn't calculate that into the whole equation. Her showing up as a Jets game. Like they timed it perfectly, right? Also, I'm editing, and somebody on, I think ESPN, was talking about how she's about to release a movie and how brilliant her publicity team is for getting all this free attention and things and promotion. And so they were, they're all kind of acknowledging that this is fake, right? And so this is a really fake thing, which makes the next thing even funnier. So then there's this person named I Am Kayla Nicole. She is a now Instagram model who has 700,000 followers that dated Travis Kelce for some period of time. And she has had been some contentious stuff to do with the Taylor Swift relationship. Like maybe Travis Kelce dumped her for Taylor Swift or whatever. And she's been vocal about it. And then the Swifties descended on her because they were She was breaking up their fairy tale. And she got what she wanted, which was to become more famous, like these Instagram. I mean, she's an Instagram model, and this is like great for her. Taylor Swift entering into her, bringing her into this, because she's had 3 or 4 page 6 New York Post articles about her that I haven't really paid attention to. I think I mentioned one of them in a video. Okay, so I want to insert this in here. I'm in the editing process. I was wrong about her being dumb for Taylor Swift. Like, that's my limited knowledge about the situation was that. But I looked the situation up. Like I said, I'm editing. I did the original piece of this that you're about to see and what you're watching yesterday. Today's Friday, October 13th. This is probably be up on Saturday. But anyways, they broke up in May of 2022. So it's like a year and a half ago. And they dated on and off. They had a couple of breakups, a lot of drama. And of course, I didn't know anything about it, but people who followed, Chiefs fans and people followed Kelsey, and she had her own sort of Instagram thing going on there. And so they dated for 5 years on and off, broke up a couple of times. And then there's been some post-drama, and there's been some videos about her from a variety of people on the internet that have kind of trolled her for one reason or another. She's done something. She might be, a little bit like like an Alec Baldwin's Hilaria Baldwin type of personality, somebody who's really self-promotional, and she's rubbed people the wrong way, and she's, inserted herself now in this Taylor Swift, and just like a year and a half later, she inserted herself in this thing, and she had no claim on him. I mean, there's nothing going on there. They've been broken up for a long period of time, but she saw the opportunity to ride this propaganda bandwagon, right? The whole Pfizer thing, all of it. And so she thought she would boost her profile the same way they are, because it's all about publicity, which makes this next thing I'm about to show you all the funnier. But then this came out. Like, she decided to address this situation in an open letter to herself that she's reading on Instagram. She wrote an open letter to herself, right? To herself, she wrote an open letter. Like, that's in itself is pretentious and really, it takes it to a new level of self-promotion. And then reading on Instagram takes it to another level above that, right? Writing an open letter to somebody is oftentimes a way of self-promotion. But writing an open letter to yourself, that's just like a whole next level. And then it's really bad. So here's a comment here. This white woman adores you for who you are. You are beautiful inside and out. This is one of the most popular comments. Some of these people also have check marks. She has a check mark next to her name. I am Kayla Nicole, even though I don't think she's famous for anything but dating Travis Kelce, who is famous for dating Taylor Swift. So she is second degree famous from a relationship. And this is what she had to say.
It's always been really important for me to use my platform not to create division, but to elevate and unite women.
Okay, so this is definitely creating division. Division within herself even, because it's so weird.
Black women specifically. So I prepared a letter and would like to share it with you today.
Okay, a letter to herself that she's reading on Instagram.
Dear Black girl.
That's her. She's addressing herself as Dear Black girl. Her internal dialogue when she talks to herself. Like, everyone has an internal dialogue, to internal voice, whatever. When she thinks of herself, right? She's talking to herself in the mirror. She refers to herself as Black girl.
Dear Black girl.
Right? This is what she's saying. The letter that she's writing to herself starts off with her saying, Dear Black girl. Like, that's how she's viewing herself internally. It's just so bizarre, right? Because, you're like a lot more than that, right? Like, that's just some superficial aspect of the pigmentation of your skin. Like, you have an internal world, and you have a soul, and you have, things that are specific to you as a human being in your internal dialogue. Like this is how she's dealing with this. Like she's getting harassed by Swifties, right? And her response is to refer to herself in the third person as "Dear Black Girl." Okay, so I just want to say this because there's another interpretation of this, which might be a thing where she's just addressing all black girls, like he was writing in general to some idea, some collectively, this is a letter to black girls or black women or whatever. But when you hear what she writes, it's all about her and her situation. Everything that she says is talking about what she's going through right now with the publicity stuff. I'm in the editing process. And when I watched this yesterday, it seemed like she was just talking to herself. But there might be some other way that this could be interpreted. But clearly, she's talking about herself. And it's to do with this drama and people's reaction to her inserting herself and trying to get some run, trying to get some publicity out of this thing, right? Because, that's what she's about. And when you make things about race, there's true racism, there's true prejudice, there's, serious aspects of any of these types of things where people suffer, right? Systemic problems. There's systemic problems. And you cheapen those problems and you make light of those problems when you insert a story that's not about that, because this is all about publicity hoes, right? There's three people who all want publicity, and this is nothing to do with love or race or anything, football or music. It's people trying to build their brand and get more fame and all all that goes with it. All three of them, all three of this, this Nicole person and Swift and Kelsey, all of them are, this is what they're all about, right? And to insert race in this thing, like that plays some part in this. You're going after this, you trying to insert yourself in this process to gain more profile. And there's always going to be haters and backlash, and there's just is. And she's reacting to this like she's some sort of victim, and she's making it about race when it has really little to do with that, right? It has everything to do with, she decided, hey, this was an opportunity for me to get more people to know who I am. And it's worked. It's worked for all three of them. But people don't like it. People don't respect it, right? And people look down on, some people look down on people who, want constant attention and want fame and, people who are mature or can see through it or can see it. It's just it's a bad goal. It's always ends up disappointing people. Like most people who are rich and famous are disappointed when they get what they're trying to achieve, right? And it always comes with this kind of thing. There's always going to be people who react to you negatively when you put yourself out there. It happens to everybody on social media. And to make yourself a victim, like, it's somehow specific to you or your race and gender or whatever it might be, is inaccurate, right? And that just makes people, even go after you even more.
Dear Black Girl, they may call you a traitor for falling in love. You'll hope the ones closest will protect you, but you will quickly find out that people don't protect what they don't value.
Okay, so this is a pity party. You dated Travis Kelce, right? There's no falling in love with that guy. He is stupid, but also narcissistic, superficial, and a fame ho himself, right? He wants more fame. And I documented this. He had a reality TV show on the E! Network that was called Catching Kelsey, which he just is unbearable. Like I showed you just the trailer, and he's unbearable. He's obnoxious, he's loud, and he's all about himself. And he's not smart. Like she's smarter than him. Taylor Swift's smarter than him. Like he's a dope. Like he's just not like bright at all. And other than that, he's famous and he's an athlete. He doesn't have much going for him personality-wise. And he's obviously a womanizer, right? He's had, he went on like a Bachelor show designed just for him. And, the biggest reason to date him is he's famous. And he's, he's a successful football player. And if you want to boost your own personal profile and become more famous yourself, which is obviously something she wants to do because she's trying to get in on it. She's trying to cash in on the Taylor Swift Kelsey relationship herself, right? With this pity party letter, when it's obviously helping her because she has it has something like it has 170,000 likes, and I was stunned by that because it's so bad, right?
They'll say you're too much, too provocative, too boisterous, too outspoken, and in the same breath tell you that you're not enough, not successful enough, not wholesome enough, maybe not even intelligent enough.
She's going all in. Yeah, this is you dated Travis Kelsey, right? Like this isn't a serious thing.
They'll say you deserve the backlash and embarrassment. Because of your blackness, you should have known better.
Who said those words? Who said that because of your blackness you should have known better? Where was that said by anybody, right? Because what this is about is fame hoes, right? This is people who want to be more famous. Taylor Swift wants to be more famous. Like, she can't get enough. I mean, I talked about this with Madam Expiration Date Madonna and Will Smith. Will Smith is another person who they couldn't let it go. Will Smith was the top of his, maybe the number one famous person. He was the number one movie star. Madonna was the number one female singer, and she was like kind of like the number one celebrity with controversy. She had more written about her, more attention given to her than any other person. So they were at the top of their game at kind of the same period of time, Will Smith and Madonna. And then they became less famous. They were still famous. They were still A-list celebrities, but not as much. And they got desperate, and they couldn't deal with it. And I covered it on my channel, this idea that fame was somehow something like you could get fed enough by it. I mean, Madonna even talked about getting fed by the audience on some old Oprah Winfrey interview I found years ago when I did a video on it. And they just couldn't get enough, right? And Taylor Swift can't get enough. She's, the number one female artist. She had this epic tour concert thing that everyone's raving about and all of it. And she couldn't, that wasn't enough for her. She was like at the top of her game. And she decided to date Travis Kelsey in a very public way. He's been he's been on Saturday Night Live. He was on a TV show, multiple TV shows. He's put himself out there. He wants to be more famous, right? He wants to be more than just a football player. Like, that is enough to be on a Super Bowl winning football team, championship team. He has to, and one of the better tight ends, one of the better players in the league. He has to get more. So he wants more. And this girl dated him because she wants more, because she obviously wants to be an Instagram celebrity. And she could have just let this go. Whatever happened between her and him, him jumping ship for their fake relationship, for a better fake relationship, right? And so that's what's happened here. But she's decided to make this somehow racial in some way, which is bizarre, because it's about popularity. This isn't about race or any of these things. It isn't even about talent or any of the other aspects of it. It's about becoming more popular, becoming more influential, more, being more famous. This is about fame. These are three people who are fame hosts that all want more fame. And she's got it. They all got it, right? They all got a big dose of fame.
Try to tie your value to your net worth. But Black girl, please remember your value lies elsewhere.
Yeah, so you wrote a letter to yourself and posted on Instagram to show your value within yourself, right? Because you need other people to give you value. You're looking for external validation, external people to say you're great or all these things, which is why I talk about all the time, because people they don't matter to you. Like, if you're that narcissistic and that's self-centered, you want to be better than them. You want people to see you as being a famous person. A famous person somehow got more value than non-famous people, and that's just a lie. Famous people are horrible people. Most of them are horrible people. I mean, the worst type of people, and whatever that means for them. But it's all tied to their need for external validation, and they look at their money, they look at their success, they look at all the things that they do in their life, and there's a bit where Will Smith and Jada Smith are talking about there was a time where he had the number one movie and his son had the number one album, and his daughter had the #1 song, and they're talking about all the success they had in a year, and their marriage was it was in shambles, right? Their lives sucked, their personal lives sucked, but they were having material success. I mean, look at Madonna. Her face is wrecked. She's done everything, Madam Expiration Date, to try to claim a little bit more fame, cutting albums and acting like a 20-year-old when she's 60. I mean, it's ghoulish, right? And it never makes you feel good because you don't really care about these people. It doesn't matter if 1 million people watch this video, you get 1 million likes, or you get 1 like. It's not going to feed you. It's not going to give you love. It's not going to make you feel like you have something. Again, tying this to some superficial aspect of yourself and making it racial when you're a soul, when you're an etheric being that incarnates in this physical body and looking for approval from the dopes that watch Instagram videos, right? Like the people who follow Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and think it's a real thing. Like people who are that unconscious. Like it's the lowest common denominator of people who have crappy lives themselves, but they live vicariously through these celebrities. And they think that the relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is somehow, makes them feel good. The people that relationship makes them feel good. Like Valerie Bertinelli could complain about all the people who are, what did she call them? The, whatever it was. I covered that in the video. Negative Nellies, right? She called them negative Nellies. We're wrecking it for all these people who want to enjoy this beautiful love story between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That's a scam, fake Hollywood celebrity relationship, which now seems to be about Taylor Swift wanting to fly her private jet all over the place, but not receive public backlash for its carbon emissions. Like that. That's what this thing's about, right?
Your value is deep within your heart, the way you love, the way you give. Your value is in your resilience.
And that's why you wrote a letter to yourself, addressing yourself as Dear Black Girl on Instagram, because your value is in your heart as a soul, as a person. This is like you had to make this public, this expression, like something that somebody would say, positive self-talk, like Stuart Smiley on Saturday Night Live. Some new age affirmations where you look in the mirror and you tell yourself how great you are, right? In this case, you're addressing yourself as you look in the mirror as Dear Black Girl, right? Instead of like looking at something deeper within you as that makes you, significant within yourself, right? Like some kind of, internal quality, interiorization of your self-esteem instead of looking for approval from people in this performative letter.
Your willingness to forgive. The way you protect what means most to you, even if it hurts you along the way. And the way you stand up for what means most to you, even though they may not ever do the same.
It's almost like this is like a beauty contestant, like Miss America contest, but it's like a pageant. It's got like a twinge of pageantry in it, right?
But Black girl, respectfully, let me stop you there because you don't have to participate.
Wait a minute. Let me stop you there. There's too much of like it's like you're addressing yourself in the third person and that person is addressing themselves. It's like the conversation is happening here on Instagram in an open letter. It's getting confusing. Let me stop you right there.
And this tumultuous, often one-sided journey. Preserve your heart. Even when they try to quantify your character and test your boundaries, you do not have to engage.
Exactly. Like you don't have to go on Instagram and write a letter to yourself. So let me stop you right there.
You do not have to respond because there is power in your silence.
This is not silence. This is the opposite of silence.
And you can use that same power to silence the noise and the self-doubt. Silence the voices within that want you to give in to this demoralizing and antiquated narrative.
Okay, what's the narrative, right? Like the narrative is you dated a dopey Travis Kelce because he was, a famous football player. And you wanted your own fame because you have an Instagram model thing going. and he dumped you for Taylor Swift, which, is par for the course for everybody who's involved in this, because they're all about fame and personal promotion. None of this is real, and you're made this letter to yourself because you knew you'd get views, and you're cashing in on the popularity that was given to you through the Taylor Swift, whatever it is. And your complaint about it brought these dopey Taylor Swift fans who have, no autonomy in their own ability, no sovereign spirituality. They're just like dopey robots, and who, were bought into the fame paradigm themselves. They descended on you, and now you're doing this open letter to yourself, talking to yourself in the third person, and then talking to that person in the third person as well. There's like 3 personalities here.
Tap into that power. Because I know, girl, the rage of the world is loud. But Black girl, your God is louder.
This is what the person said. But Black girl, your God is louder. What do you mean your God? Like, is it everybody's God? Do you have your own private God that's louder than the...
Your tribe is stronger. Your blood runs deeper and is filled with strength. And when you finally find the strength to speak your truth, it is your voice that will help heal. Because Black girl, let me tell you,
Black girl,
you're not in this alone. And even though sometimes I too ask, why me? I'm reminded that this isn't just about me. This isn't just my story, a singular experience. My truth.
Wait a minute. There's other people that dated somebody as goofy as Travis Kelce and then got dumped because he dated somebody more famous like Taylor Swift. There's nothing here. This wasn't a loving relationship. Whatever was going on there between them, this guy's not capable of that, right? He's not capable of some fairy tale like situation.
Trauma and vulnerability is a relatable part of the human experience. I know I'm not alone, and I want to make sure that you know you aren't either.
This is you talking to yourself. You know that you're not alone. If she's talking to some third person, it's hard to... This is you talking to yourself, so yeah, you kind of are alone, right?
Days where I feel most inadequate, I have to remind myself that I am, have been, and will always be more than enough. Look, we love, we hurt, we heal, but always remember that your story is yours to tell. And you never know whose life it may touch, because there is so much power in community and connection. So, dear Black girl, when the world gets dark and times get hard, when you feel like your back is against the wall and your hands are tied, like nobody knows or understands what it takes to be you, remember that you are a part of something way bigger. This is only a small chapter in your story. And if you need help, there are resources like therapy, prayer, and community to help you make it through.
Okay, so this is just it's kind of sad. Like, this was so clear and powerful and fluent in love. Add excellent orator to this list of your accolades. Thank you, Kayla. So many of us needed to hear this. So many of them. Miss Bling Miami. This is from Miss Bling Miami. Miss Bling Miami needed to hear this because she's got bling and she lives in Miami. And this is her Instagram model page. This is a cry for Instagram models everywhere.
But most importantly, I want you to remember that you are loved. You are valued. You are allowed to take up space. You deserve...
You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to take up space. This is wonderful.
Deserve protection. And your feelings, they matter too. Solely because you're a Black girl.
Solely because you're a Black girl? Like, what about being like a soul? Or what about being a good person or being a human being? Like, solely because, what is this? Like, why do you think that that's a good direction to take this thing, right? This is not about anything that has anything to do with depth because of the nature of celebrity, people who are desperate for fame, desperate for Instagram fame, desperate for celebrity fame or football, athlete fame. These people who want to be seen, want other people to watch them and think about them and wonder what's going on with them. I mean, that's why Travis Kelce did that show where he's dating women on, Bachelor. Why does people go on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or whatever it is, right? Because they want to be seen. They can't have just a normal relationship in private. They want other people to talk about them and look at them, right? They can't go out and just be in love and have some private, a relationship that's I don't want to say secretive, but it's, you have your own, special bond with somebody, and you don't need other people to see it. You don't have to show it off on Instagram. You have to tell everyone about it. You don't have to, promote yourself and the other person, and put up all these posts about all the things you're doing, how wonderful your relationship is, right? And we saw this with the Smiths. It's like this is a Smith relationship, right, where it's fake. It's just done for public consumption. So you can post things on Instagram. You show everyone how great you are and how wonderful your life is and how your relationship is great. And that's where you're going with this. It's just, you're turning it into something that's even worse, right? You're trying to make it some sort of, a cry for help for a demographic when this is about fame. This isn't about being black or white or being, anything, being any Asian or any sort of demographic. These are all people who want more fame.
Sincerely, a black girl.
Okay, so it was a black girl to a black girl. Again, you're posting this on Instagram. Okay, so it's Thursday, October 12th here. I'm just going to add this to whatever I've already done. And the info about Israel's coming in hard and fast. I just made a video public on this channel that I put up yesterday, and I got a big Trump video to make tomorrow. It's got Biden's epic gaffe and a bunch of other stuff. It's, it's pretty, his gaffe about seeing pictures of decapitated babies that he didn't really see. I mean, just a really horrible gaffe. But I want to add this thing. Maran Morris said regarding Anthony Oliver's song Richmond, North of Richmond. She is also a country singer. I just heard about her today through this quote. I think it's the last bastion. People are streaming these songs out of spite. It's not out of true joy or love of the music. It's to own the libs, and that's not what music is intended for. Music is supposed to be the voice of the oppressed, the actual oppressed, and now it's being used as really toxic weapon in the culture wars. And so she is a singer I never heard of, but she had a song named Girl, and here are the lyrics to her song. Man, this boop's unflattering, all up in my head again. I don't feel myself right now. Maybe I should just lie down. Lay down. Maybe I should just lay down. If vanity's my vitamin, well, I don't feel the difference. I don't like myself right now. Gotta find a way out. What you feel is natural, but I don't want to feel this anymore. Pick yourself up off the kitchen floor. What you waiting for? Girl, won't you stop your crying? I know that you're trying. Everything's going to be okay. Baby girl, don't you hang your head low. Don't you lose your halo. Everyone's going to be okay, baby girl. See, very much like that other girl's Instagram letter that she read to herself, right? This is their internal dialogue. The other song actually speaks for the oppressed, Oliver Anthony's song. But this is just whiny, Generation Z, self-involved stuff, right? Victim consciousness stuff. Draw your comparisons, trying to find out who's lesser than. I don't want to wear your crown. There's enough to go around. What you feel is natural. You don't got to put up with this anymore. Pick yourself up off the kitchen floor. Oh, tell me, what you waiting for? Girl, won't you stop your crying? I know that you're trying. Everything's going to be okay. Baby girl, don't hang your head low. Don't lose yourself, your halo. Everything's going to be okay. And it just keeps on going. That's the whole song. The rest of the song is just a repeating of the chorus. And she's
got the nerve and the audacity to say that the other song is political and it's just being indulgent for these right-wing people to listen to that song and slam the libs. And I showed you there are a lot of people of color who are liking the song as well. A lot of people who are liberal or perhaps even Democrats or whatever who like that song as well. So, this is Generation Z. It's really hard for our generation, like all that stuff I just covered. The Taylor Swift conducting this fake relationship for publicity is one thing, but then to game the search engine so it takes attention away from her climate changing ways, but then that backfiring because people figured it out, right? It's like this generation grows up to mold their narrative. Like we all have learned to do this, like my generation and some of the, people younger than me, but we've learned to do this through social media. But they grew up on it. Like they thought this was normal, where they're molding these narratives. And this Kayla and Nicole, and, it's so self-involved. The Oliver Anthony song is, it's important for what it is. It's not going to change anything, but it's gets to where people are feeling right now across many different demographics. There's all these reaction videos, and I showed you a few of them, and I watched a bunch of them, and then there were rap songs that came out from the song that he, whatever. That thing's already kind of jumped the shark, right? People have forgotten about it. It's moved on. There was nothing negative about it, right? There's nothing that anybody should be complaining about, like even if it's not truther enough or whatever you think about it, it's not, it just expresses how people are and, people where people are at. And this girl to react to that. And then I looked at one song, like I saw there's a song named Girl, and I'm like, well, that's going to be bad. I thought she was another country star, and I was like, oh, I bet her songs, I'm going to find one of her songs and crap all over it, because that's how my mind works, right? But anyways, you just see how these kids have grown up, and they're just wired in a different way. And they're so self-involved, and their so-called process is so important. And so I got a wonderful exchange of comments. I just got it, so I want to put it in this video. It's to the video OMG that's about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And one of my viewers said, people don't suck. And I must have said people suck. I'm assuming. Something like, sounds like me. And then someone else said, you must not go outside much. And then the person responded to that comment saying, if your attitude is that people suck, then you suck. Sorry about your suckiness. Good luck. And so she said people don't suck. And then she got a non-hostile comment, sort of hostile, where the person said, well, you don't go outside much, so you don't see people. And her immediate response was to say a person sucks. So she said people don't suck, and then gets a little bit of a, not a horribly bad comment. And her first reaction is to say, yeah, people do suck, right? Or at least a person does suck. So I thought that was just epic. But anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.